Hello guys and welcome back to the Laird Performance YouTube channel. Today we have something a little less common on the dyno, and it's a Ford Puma ST. Now basically what this is a Mark 8 ST, just a little more chunky. So this thing has the 1.5 EcoBoost engine, turbocharged, makes some good power, around 200 horsepower, sometimes a little bit more depending on if it is mods or not, but they make excellent power. So what we're going to be doing today is a stage 1 on the dyno. We've not done as many of these, so there's every chance I've not seen every single ECU version, so I'll probably need to write a file for this one, but we're going to do a couple of things like map switching on the modes, and we're going to do just a little bit of crackle enhancement as well. So yeah, let's get started, let's get strapped down. Do you know, I actually think this is the first one of these I've actually had on the dyno. I think every other one we've done is just workshop upload. It's not really a problem because I've done that many Mark 8 Fiesta STs. The ECU is exactly the same, so it all just kind of works as it should. The difference is just converting it so that it works with that particular EC software version. You couldn't physically just take a Mark 8.5 ECU version and just whack it on it. It might not work out in your favour, and it's best not to just do these things if you don't want to, you know, be experimenting. I tell you what I really like about these is the dash. It's the same with the Mark 8.5 ST. The dash is so much better and it gives you a little bit more information on there as well, which is quite nice. So now what we need to do is we need to check the oil, just make sure everything's all good. Make sure to clean it off first before you actually, you know, just check it. Don't just pull out and check it straight away. Not enough people are doing this with their cars, especially the likes of these 1.5 EcoBoosts. We see a lot of them come in with not enough oil in them, and that's partly to do with they changed, you know, the sump design, stuff like that on it, so one takes more oil than the other, and a lot of garages are just putting the lesser amount of oil in them. So always double check your oil, keep on top of it. You need to make sure the wee holes in the dipstick are exposed, and then you can dip it. This one is perfect, every single one of them are covered. You won't be able to see that because I can't get the camera to zoom in enough, but this one is absolutely spot on. So it's time to move on to the actual tuning process, get the ECU all identified, see what version we're on. Hopefully I've already done one. That would be good from my point of view, but if not, we're going to be writing a file for it. So let's go and check that out now. So to tune this car, we're going to be using the B-Flash tool, which is one of the faster tools for actually programming it. So this is the ideal one to use because it means that you can program the ECU in 50 seconds rather than like 2.5 minutes in comparison to the other tool. It's generally a lot more efficient to work with. So this is the ideal situation. So if it's already an ECU version I've done, then basically it means the ECU can be programmed in 50 seconds, and then you just need to see if you need to do any adaptations. Some cars don't need any, some do. It just depends really. Well, unfortunately for me, it looks like I'm going to have to write the full file, but that's fine, that shouldn't take too long. Basically you're just converting everything you've already developed onto this particular ECU version. So we're going to have to go ahead and actually read the ECU out, which should take about 7 minutes to actually read. This is the only thing, so to use this tool to read this car, it takes a bit longer because it's an actual read that it takes, whereas like the likes of my CMD tool, it takes what you call a virtual read, so it's more or less instantaneous. But when we're doing the likes of Ford Fair and stuff like that, it's more ideal to have a fast programming tool than it is to have one that just reads quickly, because once I've got the file and I've modified it, I can then flash it onto cars that are compatible with that in this particular platform. Now that we've read that off, we can load it into Windows and start editing the file. When you do this for the first time, it always comes up just looking like the Matrix is what people kind of describe it looking like. But to me, it's just something we work with now, and I'm just so used to it at this point. So just quickly showing you, this is what it all looks like before I get torn into all this. This is basically what is going through your ECU, is all this stuff here. Now this is just like an editing tool so that we can go through, highlight what maps are what, and then basically edit them from there. So you can't really change anything unless you go through and actually define the map, and then you can actually make your changes at that point. It makes it much easier to work with. Now we've just finished writing the ECU file, I just need to flash it onto the car and we can actually get testing this. I estimate it's going to make around about 250 horsepower. I think it will be in that region anyway. The car starts, so that's the main thing. It's always the fear when you're doing a different ECU version, just in case you've got something in the wrong zone and it just bricks the ECU and next thing you know it doesn't start. That is something that can happen, especially when you're doing something that you're writing the full file for. So it's always a risk involved in doing this sort of thing. But it started up, so now we just need to wait and it warming up a wee bit and then we can run it in the dyno and see how much power it's going to make. That first file didn't quite hit what I was expecting it to hit, so I'm going to have to go through that again and actually request a bit more wastegate duty. The boost target is basically higher than what we're actually getting by quite a bit, so I'm going to try and fix that up and I think we'll see exactly what we're looking for. First run 235, 349 Newton meters, so it's okay, but it's very low boost, so I didn't want to go all guns blazing. I left a bit of headroom in it. So we're going to go through that and we'll see what happens. I think the next run it should jump up a considerable amount. So to give you guys just a little bit of context, so here is our desired and actual for the boost, okay? So the desired is this yellow line here, and the actual is this line right here. So there is quite a bit of a variance between the two. You're looking at roughly, 20 inches of mercury of a difference almost. So that is quite a lot, but now that I've made the changes that I've made, it's going to jump up, I think, quite drastically. So what will happen if it overshoots this is it will close the throttle. I'm hoping that it's not going to do that, and I think it will just work straight away. I think it's going to give us roughly what we should be getting, but let's find out. So like the Mark 8 Fiesta ST, these kind of struggle with heat a bit as well if you let them just tick over in the dyno. So the trick is to actually make sure that the temps are where they should be, because today is freezing cold. It was -7 yesterday. Today it's a little bit, less cold than that, but it's still pretty cold. But in this dyno room it's 11 degrees, and even now we're up at 30 degrees in the intake temps, so we need to try and get that down a little bit, but we can do that just by driving the car on the rolling road with the fan on. So we'll just do that now. That's a good bit better now. Oh yeah, we're way where we need to be now. Absolutely spot on. This still takes a wee bit of drop off the top end of this one, but that's fine. It's only a small turbo, so it will drop off at some point. I'm expecting a much better result at this point as well. Perfect. 256 horsepower, 375 Newton meters. That is an absolutely spot on result. So the logs are looking so much better already. The boost is pretty much where I want it to be. The air-fuel ratio is tracking exactly where I set it. and the ignition is constantly advancing without any sort of pullback. So that is absolutely bang on. That's what we're looking for whenever we're tuning any sort of car, is that everything is operating as it should be. What you don't want to see is big ignition pulls or way massive overshoots. So let's go and have a look at the graph actual on the Dyno computer now as well, and just have a look at what is improved. This car in particular, I would say, is above average for the results that you'll probably see. Average is around 245, 250. The higher end would be 255. That's what we quote. This one actually seen 256. So 1 horsepower more than we even quote as the highest number you'll see. And between the two files was mainly just a boost change, and we went from 235 horsepower up to 256. Now, the 235 horsepower file would be fine for a lot of people, but you know, we know you can get that little bit extra, and this car runs 99 octane fuel, and that is the important part. It means that the car can run a bit more ignition advance and actually get that last few horsepower out of there. Wheel horsepower wise, we were seeing 229 at the wheels, so that is a fair bit, you know, over stock. So you're actually producing more at the wheels than you were at the flywheel in the first place, so that's quite good. Low amounts of frictional losses. Everything is looking really good for this car. So now all we need to do is get it unstrapped, get the customer called, and let them know that his car's ready. Let's get the badge on it as well, can't forget that. Well, that's all for today's video. We hope you guys have enjoyed it. Make sure to drop a like, comment and subscribe to the channel to see more. And also drop a comment and let us know what you want to see in the channel, and we'll try our best to make that happen. But until then, we'll see you in the next one.